I never actually believed in wishes. I mean, I made them, of course I did. Every birthday candle, every fallen eyelash, every make-a-wish moment was an invitation I accepted with mock sincerity. But the thing about adulthood is that it eats belief alive. 26 years old, juggling 2 jobs, eating instant noodles like a religion, and definitely not in a relationship. Wishes stopped meaning anything a long time ago.
So I don't really know why I did it that night.
Maybe it was the 3rd glass of wine. Maybe it was the quiet. Maybe it was the loneliness gnawing so deep in my chest it echoed when I breathed. But when I saw that single streak of silver shoot across the sky, slicing through the night like something holy, I whispered the dumbest thing imaginable. I wish I had a girlfriend. No conditions. No specifics. Just desperation.
Stupid, right?
I even laughed at myself as I said it. Then I went inside, tossed myself into bed, and let myself sink into the usual dreamless abyss. Only this time I didn't wake up alone. I woke up to the smell of lavender. And something else, smoke? No, incense. My apartment was not the same. The cheap beige walls of my rental now shimmered faintly with a pearlescent glow, and a warm light spilled from my tiny kitchen like sunlight. I sat up, heart already thundering. Hello, I called. If this is a murder thing, please know I'm poor. That's when she walked in. And by walked, I mean she glided, barefoot and regal and glowing like she'd just stepped out of a fantasy novel. Tall, dark red skin with a dusting of gold freckles across her shoulders. Horns, yes, actual horns, arched back from her forehead like a crown. Her hair was midnight black, cascading down her back in glossy waves, and her eyes were molten amber, flickering like candle flames. She wore what looked like my apron. My stupid, polka-dotted apron. Good morning, my love, she purred. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $sign icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you. Like the words tasted sweet in her mouth. I made you breakfast. I hope you like eggs. I blinked at her.
Once. Twice.
What the actual hell is happening? She tilted her head, expression softening.
Ah.
I forget mortals don't remember the summoning. You wished upon a shooting star, didn't you? That's not how shooting stars work. I managed, still frozen. That was a metaphor. Or, like, a cosmic coincidence. I wasn't actually trying to summon a lover, she interrupted, walking closer with smooth, unhurried steps. She sat on the edge of my bed, too close, radiating warmth like a sun. And yet here I am. I'm Neretsa, demon of devotion and desire. You called, little mortal, and I answered. I stared at her, completely speechless. She smiled, and I swear the temperature in the room went up 5 degrees. You're even cuter in person, she murmured, brushing a stray strand of hair from my face with a claw-tipped finger.
So shy.
I like that. I'm not shy, I lied. I'm just confused. And possibly still drunk. I checked your bloodstream. You're not, she said cheerfully. But don't worry, confusion is natural in the early stages of demonic marriage. Demonic what? Marriage. You wished for a girlfriend. I came. Girlfriend is such a small word. I prefer wife. You can't just call me your wife. I snapped. We haven't even. We're not even dating. Would you like to date before I do your dishes again? She offered sweetly. Or, do you want to cuddle first? I made a nest of blankets on the couch. It's very soft.
Like you.
I blinked again. Harder. You made a nest? Of course. For bonding. And post-egg snuggling. I read about it. You read about it? I researched mortal courtship rituals extensively before arriving. Her expression turned smug. I watched over 700 hours of human romantic media, including something called The Bachelor. It was very informative. Also disturbing, but informative. I groaned, dropping my head into my hands. This isn't happening. It is happening, she said, and I could hear the grin in her voice. Would you like orange juice with your eggs, wife? Stop calling me that. What should I call you then? My radiant queen? My snuggle muffin? My deliciously grumpy sunrise? Stop naming me like I'm a Pokemon. She laughed, rich and delighted, and I hated that it sent a shiver down my spine. I stood abruptly, trying to put space between us. Okay. Let's say I believe you're real, which I don't, by the way. Why are you the one who answered my wish? Shouldn't it have been a fairy? Or like a goddess of love? Fairies are overworked, she said with a dismissive wave. And the goddess of love outsourced most of her human requests to us decades ago. I got assigned your case, and I liked what I saw. You saw me? Of course. I watched your soul. It was lonely, hungry for connection, but still radiant. Her voice softened on that last word, and I looked up at her, breath catching. For a moment, everything stilled. No jokes, no fire, just something warm and deep passing between us. You don't have to be alone anymore, she said gently. And for one dangerous second, I wanted to believe her. But I shook it off. You can't just waltz into my life and glide, she corrected, smirking. You can't just glide into my life and declare me your wife. I'm not ready for that. I don't even know you. Then let's fix that, she said simply, standing. We'll go on dates, have picnics, share secrets. I'll win your heart the mortal way, if that's what you want. I stared at her. You do all that? For you?
Yes.
For love? Always. There was something so raw and genuine in the way she said it that I almost forgot she had horns. But before I could respond, a spark lit up her fingertips and a single red rose appeared in her hand. She offered it to me with a bow so dramatic, I actually laughed. Let me court you, little human, she said, eyes smoldering. Let me earn the right to call you mine. And just like that, my heart betrayed me. Just a little. Just enough to whisper, maybe. It had been exactly 18 hours since Neretza declared herself my demon wife. In that time, she had reorganized my spice rack by color, hand-washed every dish I owned while humming something that sounded suspiciously like a demonic lullaby, fluffed my couch cushions into a terrifyingly symmetrical nest, and stared at me with smoldering, unblinking affection every time I walked into the room. I was losing my mind. Stop hovering, I muttered, typing furiously at my laptop while she lounged upside down on my couch like a cat made of shadows and seduction. I'm not hovering, she said, voice velvet smooth. I'm observing, admiring, reveling in the glory that is my wife's concentration face. I'm not your wife. That's not what your wish said. I groaned and slammed my laptop shut. It was a metaphorical wish made under emotional duress. You can't just manifest into someone's life and seduce them slowly over time until they fall helplessly in love with me, she finished, flipping herself right side up with inhuman grace. Because I absolutely can. That's not what I was going to say. But it's what you're thinking. She leaned forward, eyes glinting, and I hated that my heart fluttered just a little. Okay, a lot. You're attracted to me. You're literally a demon designed to embody desire. That's not fair. Love rarely is, she said with a sigh, dramatically placing the back of her hand against her forehead like a Shakespearean heroine. I stared at her. Did you just quote a soap opera? Episode 143 of Love Unchained. Veronica says it to Damien before stabbing his twin brother on the wedding yacht. That's oddly specific. I told you I did research. I want to do this right. And the thing was, she sounded genuine, sincere. Like she actually wanted to earn my affection and wasn't just here for the soul harvest or whatever hellish arrangement I expected from demonic deals. There was no fine print, no boiling cauldron, no cackling evil laughter. Just a woman with horns, a deeply committed apron habit, and eyes that made my stomach twist in ways I wasn't ready to name. Okay, I said slowly. You want to date me?
Fine.
Then we're doing this my way. Her eyes lit up like bonfires.
Yes.
Name your terms. First, no calling me your wife. Second, no touching unless I say it's okay. Third, you need to get a job. She blinked.
A job. Yes, a job.
If you're going to live here, you need to contribute. Financially. But I can conjure gold. No cheating. You're cruel, she whispered, looking absurdly delighted. I like it. Stop smiling like that. I can't. You're so stern. It's very sexy. You're impossible. And yet you haven't banished me. That shut me up. Because the truth was, I could. Somehow I knew I could. There was a pull between us, a thread of magic that connected her presence to my will. All I had to do was say the words, and she'd vanish back into the ether.
But I didn't want her to.
And that terrified me. Get dressed, I said instead, standing up. We're going out. A date, she gasped. Our first official outing as a courting couple? A trip to the grocery store. We're out of cereal. Romantic. If you behave, I'll buy you something sweet. Are you bribing me with sugar? Maybe. I've never been more in love. At the store, Neretsa was a menace. She kept touching things, sniffing candles like they were potions, staring in awe at automatic doors, and seducing the poor barista into giving her a free caramel latte after she called his aura tragically beige. I tried to ignore the way people stared. She was unmissable. 6 feet of red-skin perfection with glowing eyes and an aura that practically sang. But it wasn't just the way she looked. It was the way she was. Unapologetic. Joyous. Alive in a way that made everything around her seem dull by comparison. And somehow, she'd chosen me. You've stopped walking, she said gently, returning to my side with 2 bags of gummy bears. Are you overwhelmed? Embarrassed by your absurdly hot girlfriend? You're not my girlfriend either, I muttered, grabbing a box of pasta. You're just an invasive celestial being squatting in my apartment. But a charming one. Debatable. You smiled when I got the latte. I flushed. That wasn't a smile. That was second-hand embarrassment. It looked like fondness. You're delusional. I'm hopeful. I paused, box still in my hands. Her voice had shifted, quieter now, almost hesitant. I turned to look at her. Why are you doing this? I asked, genuinely curious. Why me? Because you asked, she said simply. Because you reached across the stars with your whole heart, and it echoed. I felt it. I heard you. I swallowed hard. But you don't even know me. I want to. Every part. Every mood. Every story you've never told anyone. I want to earn your laughter. Your trust. Your heart. Her words hit something inside me, something old and aching and stupidly hopeful. I shoved the box into the cart and looked away. You're so dramatic. I'm a demon of desire. It's in the job description. We checked out in silence after that, and I thought maybe she'd pushed too far. But when we got home, she just handed me the gummy bears, curled up on the couch, and started reading How to Win a Mortal's Heart, a guide for the recently summoned. Apparently, she bought it at the occult bookstore while I was picking out cereal. She took notes. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt something warm unfurl in my chest. Not love. Not yet. But the beginning of something. Maybe. I wasn't used to sharing space with someone. My apartment was small, not tragically so, but intimate in the way that only made sense when you lived alone. The couch faced the TV in a perfect line. The bed took up more room than it should. My kitchen could barely fit 2 people unless one of them was pressed against the counter. I'd built this space like a shell, my little world of quiet routines and safe solitude. And now there was a demon reorganizing my spice rack again. You already did that, I said without looking up from my laptop. Yes, but now it's alphabetical and color-coded, Neretsa replied proudly, tail swishing behind her as she stood on tiptoe to adjust a jar of smoked paprika. She was wearing one of my oversized sweatshirts again. Somehow, she made it look like a fashion statement, slouchy over one shoulder, just barely brushing her thighs. I hated how good it looked on her. I hated how good she looked in general. I got you coffee, she added, sliding a steaming mug toward me with a little flourish of flame. It spelled out, your demon wife loves you in the foam. We talked about this, I said, lips twitching despite myself. No more latte art proposals. That wasn't a proposal. That was an affirmation. I don't need demonic affirmations in my caffeine. Everyone needs affirmations in their caffeine. She leaned over the back of the couch, resting her chin on my shoulder, voice dropping an octave. Besides, you didn't say no. To what? I asked, trying very hard to keep my breathing normal. To me calling you mine? I closed my eyes for a second. You're relentless. I'm patient, she corrected softly. There's a difference. There was something about her when she spoke like that, quiet, almost reverent, that made it impossible to snap at her. I sighed and sipped the coffee. It was perfect. Of course it was. Do demons get bored? I asked, changing the subject. She blinked at me, then slowly walked around the couch and sat beside me, tucking her legs under her. Not easily. Why? You've been here a week. Aren't you restless? Are you restless? That's not the same. Why not? Because I'm mortal. I'm supposed to get bored. She smiled. I'm not bored, little star. You're fascinating. I've seen centuries pass in a blink, watched empires rise and fall. But you sit here typing with your brows furrowed like the universe will collapse if your sentence isn't perfect. You mutter when you burn your toast. You hum songs you don't even know you're humming. You collect mugs like memories. You mourn the end of TV shows like funerals. And you have this way of pretending you don't care about anything when actually you care too much. I stared at her, heart thudding. You notice a lot. I notice everything about you. Her voice dropped, smoky now, her gaze locking with mine. You're the most interesting thing I've ever seen. I should have looked away. Should have made a joke or rolled my eyes or changed the subject. But I didn't. I let the silence stretch between us, heavy and charged. You keep saying things like that, I whispered, and I don't know what to do with them. You don't have to do anything. Just feel them. That's even worse. Why? Because you're starting to feel real. Her eyes softened. I am real. You know what I mean. I do. And I don't care. I'll wait. I'll keep showing up. I'll keep learning you until you finally let yourself fall. That's incredibly manipulative, I said, voice shaking. Only if it works. That made me laugh, and the sound cracked something in the tension. She smiled, slow and wicked and beautiful. Come with me, she said suddenly. What? Outside. I want to show you something. It's midnight. Perfect time. If this is some weird ritual, it's not. Just trust me. Against every instinct screaming in my head, I let her pull me outside. The air was cool, and the world was quiet, the kind of stillness that only came in the early hours. She led me to the rooftop of our building, her fingers brushing mine but never fully closing around them. The sky above us was velvet black, scattered with stars. Close your eyes, she whispered. Why? Because I'm going to give you something. I hesitated, then shut them. I heard a flicker of flame, a hum of energy. Then her voice, low and gentle. You wished for love. Not just a girlfriend. Not just someone to sit on your couch. You wished for someone to see you. All of you. Even the messy parts. I didn't know I was doing that, I whispered. But you were. I opened my eyes. Floating above her palms was a small orb of light, pulsing like a heartbeat. Inside it I saw memories.
Mine.
Little pieces. Me at 5 years old, watching rain hit the window. Me crying after my first heartbreak. Me dancing alone in the kitchen. Me whispering that wish to the sky. How did you? You don't summon a demon without leaving a trail, she said. This is your essence. The pieces of you that called to me. I reached out, and the orb dissolved into a warmth that sank into my skin. I shivered. She stepped closer. Do you believe I want you now? She asked. Not for a contract. Not for a soul. Just because you are. I couldn't speak.
I didn't know how.
So I nodded. Just once. And her smile turned gentle, reverent. Then let me show you how devotion tastes, she whispered, cupping my cheek. Her lips brushed mine, soft, asking not taking. I froze. And then I melted. It wasn't a kiss that demanded or devoured. It was one that promised. And when she pulled back, my breath caught. "Too much?" she asked softly. "No," I whispered. "Not enough." And for the first time since this began, I wasn't afraid of what that meant. I didn't sleep that night. After the kiss, gentle, reverent, nothing like the soul-stealing demon seduction I'd been bracing for, I just lay there, awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint sound of Neretsa humming softly in the living room, some ancient lullaby that wrapped around me like smoke and honey. And I hated how badly I wanted her back in my bed, not just for the kiss, not just for the fire curling low in my stomach, but for the way she looked at me, like I was precious, like I was something sacred. The next morning, I found her on the kitchen floor, surrounded by cookbooks. Actual cookbooks. She must have stolen them from a bookstore, because I knew damn well I didn't own any. She had one hand wrapped around a cup of coffee, the other twirling a pen as she scribbled something into a notebook labeled Wife Recipes. "You don't have to keep calling me that," I said, leaning against the doorway. She didn't look up. "You haven't told me to stop. That's not the same as giving permission. It's enough for now." Her voice was soft, controlled. "I'll earn the rest later." I swallowed, throat dry. "You're going to a lot of trouble for someone who keeps pushing you away." That made her glance up at me. "You're not pushing me away. You're afraid. That's different." "How do you know the difference?" "Because you let me kiss you." She stood, slowly, moving toward me with the kind of unhurried confidence that made my skin feel too tight. "Because you didn't say no when I held your face like it was the most delicate treasure in the universe." "Maybe I'm just bad at setting boundaries," I mumbled. "Or maybe," she said, stopping just close enough that I could smell her. Lavender, smoke, something darker and sweeter underneath. "You want someone to finally cross the line you've been drawing around your heart for years." I couldn't breathe. "You're very poetic for a demon." "We're dramatic by design." She smiled, and the tension cracked. I exhaled. "You can't keep doing this. Making me feel like..." I stopped myself. Too dangerous. Too soon. But she didn't push. Instead, she handed me a small plate with a single perfect croissant on it. "I tried baking," she said proudly. "It took 6 failed batches, a flour explosion, and possibly a minor portal accident. But I didn't give up." I stared at the pastry. Flaky, golden, dusted with powdered sugar. "You made this?" "With great suffering." "Why?" Her expression shifted, the teasing softening into something raw. "Because love is sacrifice. Because I want you to wake up to sweetness. Because you deserve small, beautiful things." My heart clenched. I took a bite, and it was, no exaggeration, perfect. But the taste barely registered past the lump in my throat. I sat down hard at the counter. "You're ruining my life," I whispered. "You know that, right?" She sat beside me. "If I'm ruining your loneliness, then I'll take the blame." "You're ruining my walls." "Good." "You're ruining my control." "Good." I looked at her, eyes burning. "And what happens when I start needing you?" She didn't flinch. "Then I'll stay." "But you're a demon."
Yes.
"And I've never made a vow I didn't bleed for."
I didn't know what to do with that.
So I stood. "I'm going to shower. Do you want me to warm the water? Add flower petals? Summon a loofah with sentience? Please don't make my bath sponge sentient. You'd be surprised how encouraging they can be." Neretsa.
Fine.
Normal shower. Boring mortal hygiene. I shook my head and walked to the bathroom, closing the door a little too hard behind me. I needed space.
Air.
Silence. But even as the water hit my skin, hot and sharp, I could feel her. Not physically. She kept her word on boundaries, but like a shadow wrapped around my soul. And that was the most terrifying part. That I wanted her there. That I didn't want to imagine a world where she wasn't waiting with coffee and cookbooks and impossible, overwhelming tenderness. That night, I found her asleep on the couch. Her tail was curled around her ankle. Her head rested on a pillow she'd embroidered with my initials. When did she have time to embroider? I stood there, watching her chest rise and fall, and something in me cracked. I walked over, pulled the blanket higher around her, and brushed a strand of hair from her face. She stirred. Go back to sleep. You're watching me, she mumbled. Creepy. You watch me all the time. Different. I'm hot. You're ridiculous. Still hot. I rolled my eyes and turned away, but her hand caught mine. Just her fingers. Just a brush. Stay, she whispered, not even fully awake. And I did. I lay down beside her on the too small couch, let her curl around me like fire-made flesh, and for the first time in years, I slept without dreams. When I woke up, she was already awake, watching me. I didn't panic. I didn't pull away. I just looked at her, really looked. You're serious about this, I said. About me. Always. You know I'm not easy. I'm complicated and anxious and probably full of damage. Then I'll learn every crack. I'll trace every scar. I'll memorize the shape of your fear and love you anyway. I swallowed hard. And what do you get out of this? Her smile was slow.
You.
And that was the scariest promise of all. Because a part of me, deep and hidden and stupidly hopeful, was starting to want to believe it. The morning after sleeping on the couch with a literal demon curled around me like she was born to fit against my body, I woke up feeling safe. And that, more than anything, terrified me. I wasn't supposed to feel safe with her. I was supposed to be unsettled, on edge, preparing an escape plan. But instead, my first thought was that her hand was warm on my waist, and my second was that I didn't want to move. I didn't want to break the spell. But of course I did. I eased out of her arms carefully, her tail twitching slightly in response. She didn't wake, but her lips parted in a small, content sigh that made my heart stutter. I stared at her, at the curve of her mouth, the relaxed lines of her brow, the barely there glow of her skin. She was beautiful, not just in a dangerous, otherworldly way, but in a quiet, restful way. And I wanted her.
Badly.
That was the problem. I wasn't just attracted to her anymore. I was starting to crave her in ways I couldn't rationalize. Her presence, her voice, her attention, her hands, the way she made me feel like I was the only soul in the universe worth worshipping. I made coffee. I sat in the kitchen. I stared at the counter and tried to breathe normally. It didn't work. Good morning, my sunrise. Her voice broke the silence, smoky with sleep, and I jumped. She was leaning in the doorway now, shirt slipping off one shoulder, hair wild around her horns. Barefoot, smug, and devastating. You look like you're thinking very hard, she said, walking toward me. Dangerous, that early in the morning. I'm thinking about boundaries, I replied.
Ah.
Should I get my notebook?
No.
I'm not making a list. A manifesto, then. Neretsa, I'm listening. I looked at her, heart pounding. What do you want from me? She blinked, then smiled slowly. Everything. But I'll take whatever you're willing to give. And if I give you nothing? Then I'll stay anyway. Just to make you breakfast. You're impossible. Unrelenting, she corrected, stepping closer. And deeply enamored. Don't flirt with me right now. Why not? Because I'm thinking about what it would feel like to let you touch me, I said, voice barely a whisper. That stopped her. For the first time, she looked startled. Not smug. Not seductive. Just still. I don't know what to do with all of this, I continued. You make me feel like I'm constantly on the edge of something. Like I'm falling and floating and burning and safe. All at the same time. And I'm scared. Because this feels like it's becoming real. She stepped forward, slow and careful. Then let it be real. And if I get hurt, then I'll catch you before you fall. You can't promise that.
No, she said.
But I will anyway. Her hand reached out, fingers brushing my jaw, tracing down to the hollow of my throat. Can I touch you? She asked, voice hushed. Just here. I nodded. My breath hitched. Her fingers trailed down, feather-light, until they met the edge of my collarbone. Then her palm flattened, warm over my heart. You beat so loudly, she whispered. Like your body's trying to say what your mouth won't. I don't know how to say it, I admitted.
Then don't, she said.
Just feel it. And I did. I let her hand stay there, her warmth soaking into me. I leaned forward, just enough to let my forehead rest against hers. Her horns were cool, surprisingly smooth. Her breath fanned against my lips. You terrify me, I said. And you thrill me, she replied. We're even. I laughed softly. Then her thumb brushed along my jaw, and I felt my resolve unraveling thread by thread. Tell me to stop, she murmured. And I will. I didn't. Instead, I leaned in. The kiss was slow this time, deeper, threaded with heat and hesitation. Her hand slid to the back of my neck, anchoring me, while the other rested gently on my waist. I didn't pull away. I pressed into her. I let myself feel it. Every ounce of longing I'd tried to bury. When we parted, I was breathless, shaken. Her eyes searched mine, dark and glowing. Come here, she said softly, guiding me toward the couch. We sat, close enough for our thighs to touch, but she didn't push. She didn't reach. She just let the silence hold us. Why are you being so patient? I asked. Because you're worth waiting for. And if I never figure this out, then I'll keep making you coffee, and kissing your forehead, and whispering every day how breathtaking you are until you believe it. You make it sound so easy. It's not, but it's simple. I love you, whether you love me back now or next week or never. It doesn't change what's in my chest. I turned my face, resting my head against her shoulder. She let out a slow exhale, wrapping an arm around me, her tail curling loosely around my ankle. We sat like that for a long time, quiet, close. And when she whispered, "You're mine, even if you don't say it yet," I didn't correct her, because a part of me wanted to believe it, wanted to surrender, wanted to give in completely and fall into her flame and never look back. But I didn't. Not yet. Because some walls take more than one kiss to crumble. I didn't mean to kiss her again. Not then. Not like that. But it was raining. One of those soft, steady rains that made the world feel distant and slow. The sky was low and gray, and I'd left the window cracked open so the scent of wet pavement and petrichor drifted inside like a memory. We were sitting on the floor. I'd been reorganizing a bookshelf that didn't need organizing. Neretsa had joined me halfway through, pretending to be helpful, but mostly handing me books with ridiculous titles and smirking like a devil with a secret. She leaned her shoulder against mine.
Close. Warm.
Familiar. And when I turned to ask her something, what I don't remember, I caught her staring at my mouth. She didn't look away.
What?
I asked, heartbeat already stuttering. You're thinking very loudly, she murmured. I'm not. Yes, you are. Her eyes flicked from my lips to my eyes and back again. Say it. Say what? Say you want to kiss me. I don't. Liar. I hated how right she sounded. Hated how my hands were already shaking. Just a little, just enough to betray me. It's not that simple, I said. It's never been simple. Then let's make it complicated together. She leaned in slightly, close enough that I could feel her breath. I won't move another inch until you ask me to. And damn her patience, damn her power. Because I cracked. Kiss me, I whispered. Please.
She did.
And this time it wasn't soft. It wasn't hesitant. It was heat and hunger and months of pent-up need crashing into a single moment. Her hand slid into my hair, cradling my skull like I was breakable and holy and hers. I pressed into her, desperate for more of her mouth, her skin, her fire. Her tail wrapped around my waist, pulling me closer. I let out a gasp, and she swallowed it like it was oxygen. Tell me to stop, she breathed against my lips. Tell me if this is too much. Don't you dare stop. That was all she needed. She lifted me into her lap with inhuman ease, hands firm on my hips, mouth tracing a path along my jaw, my neck, the place where my pulse raced like a storm. I clung to her, fingers digging into her shoulders. Her skin was hot, velvet over steel, and every inch of her touched me like a promise. But it wasn't just heat. It wasn't just want. There was something aching in the way she held me. Like I was precious. Like I was the answer to a question she'd been asking for centuries.
And it undid me.
You feel everything so deeply, she whispered, brushing her nose against mine. It's overwhelming. It's beautiful. I hate how much I need you, I said, voice cracking. No, you don't. You're just not used to being needed back. She kissed me again, slower now. More reverent than hungry. I melted into her, let her guide the rhythm, let her hands move with care and intention. Let me show you, she murmured, what it means to be worshipped without fear. I nodded. No words left. Only yes, yes, yes in the way my body curled into hers. We moved to the bedroom without speaking. She never stopped touching me, hand at my lower back, thumb at my wrist, a constant tether. My breath caught when we reached the edge of the bed. Still sure, she asked. Yes. Completely? If you stop now, I'll scream. She laughed, low and wicked, and kissed me again. Longer.
Deeper.
Then we fell onto the bed like gravity had finally had enough of our games. Her hands explored, but never rushed. Her touch was fire and silk, reverent and real. Every kiss between my ribs, every breath against my throat. It wasn't about conquest. It was about claiming in the most sacred way. She looked up at me, eyes glowing like dusk and dawn collided. You're everything I've ever wanted, she whispered. Even if I didn't know it until you spoke that wish. And you're not real, I choked. You're a dream.
A trick.
Something that can't possibly stay. She went still. Then slowly, she rested her forehead against mine. I'm more real than anything, she said. And I would burn down eternity if it meant staying here with you. I kissed her before I could cry. Because she meant it. I could feel it in her touch, in the way she held me afterward like the world might end if she let go. And maybe, just maybe, I believed her. For the first time in a long, long time, I believed in something. I believed in her. I fell asleep in her arms, breath syncing with hers, the rain still whispering at the windows. And for once, I didn't dream about escape. I dreamed about staying. I woke before the sun did. The sky outside the window was still the color of ash, that delicate in-between where the world felt paused, soft and still, and holding its breath. And there she was, Neretsa. Her arms wrapped loosely around me, her skin warm, her breath brushing the curve of my shoulder in slow, even waves. Her tail curled around my thigh, like it had always belonged there. We hadn't spoken after it happened. Not really. Just breaths and kisses, and her voice in my ear saying things too soft to repeat. I'd fallen asleep to the rhythm of her heartbeat and the terrifying comfort of being wanted that much. Now I lay there, eyes wide open, heart too full, too loud, too scared. Because it was real now. Tangible. Undeniable. She wasn't just a summoned anomaly with horns and charm and too much confidence. She was the thing I'd always secretly believed I didn't deserve. Gentle hands in the dark. Soft words spoken like prayers. Heat and devotion, and something that felt a lot like love. I should have pulled away. Slipped out from under the weight of her arm. Pretended to need water or space or clarity. But instead I let myself stay. Just a little longer. Just long enough to memorize the way she looked when she slept. So peaceful, so unguarded, so deeply present. You're staring, she murmured, voice still scratchy from sleep. You should be used to it by now. I'm not used to anything about you. She opened her eyes slowly, lids heavy, golden irises glowing faintly in the low light. Do you regret last night? My throat tightened. No. Do you want to pretend it didn't mean something? No. Then why do you look like you're about to run? I sat up, pulling the sheet with me. She didn't stop me. She just watched. Because I don't know how to do this, I admitted. I don't know how to let someone in without losing myself. I don't know how to be someone's everything. You don't have to be everything, she said quietly. Just be real. Be honest. Be here. I don't want to break this. Then don't. It's not that simple. She sat up behind me, pressing her chest to my back, her arms winding around my waist. Maybe not. But it's not impossible, either. People build impossible things all the time. Why not love? I let myself lean into her, just for a second, her cheek pressed to my shoulder. Last night felt like too much, I whispered. And not enough at the same time. That's how you know it matters. We stayed like that for a long time. No rushing. No pretending. Just skin and silence, and the terrifying stillness of knowing your life is shifting beneath you. Eventually, she kissed my shoulder. Once. Softly. Then got up. I'll make breakfast, she said. Your favorites. You don't know my favorites. I know you. That's better. I watched her walk out of the room wearing nothing but confidence and one of my sleep shirts. I pulled the sheets tighter around me, already missing her heat. In the kitchen, I heard clattering. A soft curse. Something sizzling. I got up, wrapped a blanket around myself, and followed the sound. She was standing at the stove, humming off-key, flipping pancakes with far too much dramatic flair. Her tail swayed with the music playing faintly from her phone, some 80s love ballad that should have been cheesy, but felt perfect. You're in a good mood, I said, stepping into the doorway. You're here. Of course I am. You're humming. Terribly. I know. It's kind of endearing. Everything I do is endearing. I rolled my eyes, but couldn't stop the smile tugging at my lips. She turned toward me, holding up a plate like it was a peace offering. Try this. If it's disgusting, lie and say it's divine. My ego is fragile. I took a bite. It was perfect. Of course it was. I've never met someone like you, I said before I could stop myself. Good, she replied, eyes glinting. That means I still have the element of surprise. No, I mean it. I looked down at the plate, at the steam curling upward. You make me feel things I thought I buried years ago. She set the plate down, walked toward me, stopped just short of touching. Like what? Like I could belong to someone. Like I could stay. Her fingers brushed my cheek. You already belong. Not because you owe me. Not because I claimed you. But because your soul found mine when you made that wish. I didn't ask for this. Didn't you? Her hand moved to the back of my neck. Didn't you want someone who'd never leave? Who'd learn your every scar and love you harder for each one? I didn't think it was possible. It is. She kissed me. Slow, steady, full of something unspoken. And I felt it, the words, on the tip of my tongue. I love you. But I couldn't say it. Not yet. Instead, I whispered, please don't hurt me. She held me tighter. Never. And I almost believed it. The thing about happiness is that you start to believe it's safe. That maybe, just maybe, nothing's waiting around the corner to take it from you. It's a lie, but a beautiful one. And I let myself fall for it.
For a little while.
I let myself wake up every morning to the smell of coffee and lavender and the sound of Neretsa humming in the kitchen, usually wearing one of my shirts and nothing else. I let myself watch her dance barefoot across the floor like she didn't belong to this world, which she didn't, technically, and laugh when she burned toast on purpose, just to see if I'd make that annoyed little face I always made. I let myself touch her. Often.
Casually.
Intimately. A hand brushing her waist when I passed. Fingers tangling in her hair while we watched movies. Lips on her throat when she made a noise I couldn't ignore. I let myself need her. And the need was terrifying. Beautiful. All-consuming. I didn't say I loved her. Not yet. But the words lived on the back of my tongue, aching to be released. She never rushed me. Never demanded. Just stayed. Constant. Gentle. Fierce only when I needed her to be. But the thing about demons, real demons, is that they don't stay invisible forever. It happened on a Tuesday. The most ordinary kind of day. Rainy. Quiet. I was curled on the couch in my usual blanket burrito while Neretsa painted my toenails with alarming focus, muttering something about adoring every inch of her mortal queen's divine body. I was rolling my eyes when the knock came. 3 sharp raps. Not loud, but heavy. Final. Neretsa froze. The brush slipped. A streak of red landed across my skin like blood. Her eyes flared gold. Stay here, she said, voice instantly different, low and lethal. Neretsa? Don't move. She stood and walked to the door with slow, deliberate steps. Her posture changed. The playful grace vanished. She was all power now. Flame barely contained. Something ancient and dangerous. I stood anyway, heart pounding. I could not. And I saw her open the door. And I saw what waited on the other side. A woman. Or something that wore the shape of one.
Pale. Perfect.
Lips too red, eyes too black, smile too sharp. She wore a suit that shimmered like oil and shadow, and she looked at Neretsa like she owned her. You've been gone a while, the woman said. Her voice slithered into the room. We missed you. Neretsa didn't flinch. I'm not coming back. Don't be dramatic. The woman stepped forward, uninvited. You know how unstable the hierarchy gets without you. Your domain's unraveling. Let it. You made vows. And I've made new ones. The woman's eyes snapped to me. And I felt it. That chill. That deep, bone-piercing awareness of being prey. Ah, she said, smiling wider. So this is the little wish. Neretsa moved like lightning, stepping between us. Don't look at her. I look at what I want. And you won't want what happens next if you don't back off. They stared at each other, power radiating like heat waves. I'd never seen Neretsa like this.
Terrifying.
Beautiful.
Mine.
I didn't realize you'd gotten so soft, the woman purred. Love has a way of remaking us. You don't love her. Don't I? Neretsa turned her head slightly, just enough for me to see her eyes. I love her more than I ever loved the throne, the fire, or the war. I love her in a way that makes eternity worth enduring. My heart cracked.
Shattered.
Reformed all at once. The woman's smile faded. If you walk away from your domain, others will claim it. Chaos will follow. Then let it. You'd burn down hell itself for a mortal girl? Yes. I didn't know I was crying until the tears hit my collarbone. The woman looked at me again. Softer this time. Not kind, but curious. What makes you so special? I swallowed. My voice trembled. But I forced the words out anyway. I didn't summon her to save me. I wished to be seen. Just once. Fully. And she saw me. The woman tilted her head. She always did have a weakness for lonely things. Then she stepped back. Very well. But know this, love is not armor. And hell does not forget. She vanished like smoke, leaving behind the scent of burning roses. The silence that followed felt too big for my apartment. I turned to Neretsa, who hadn't moved. Her hands were clenched, her breathing shallow. Hey, I said softly. Look at me.
She did. Slowly.
Eyes dimmed, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. You okay? I asked. I should have warned you, she whispered. I should have told you something like this might happen. She's gone. She'll be back. They always come back. They don't like when someone breaks the rules. Did you? I broke everyone for you. I stepped forward. And I'd do it again, she said. 1,000 times. I touched her face. She leaned into it like she was starving for contact. You scared me, I admitted. Seeing you like that, I realized how powerful you really are. And does that change how you see me? I shook my head. It changes how I see me. How so? Because it made me understand something. What? That I'd burn everything down too. If someone tried to take you away from me. Her breath hitched. Say it, she whispered.
Please.
I need to hear it. I opened my mouth, but the words still wouldn't come. Not yet. So instead, I pulled her into me. I kissed her with everything I had left. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough for now. The apartment didn't feel the same after she left. Not Neretsa. She stayed, always within reach, always watching me like I was the only thing tethering her to this plane. But the woman in black had taken something when she vanished. A layer of safety. a sense of stillness. The silence now felt loaded, like the breath before a storm. Neretsa didn't talk much for the next few hours. She paced mostly, stared out the window, her tail coiled tight, her glow dimmed to embers. I let her. I gave her space, until the silence started pressing in on me. 2. I found her standing in the kitchen, hands braced against the counter, her reflection flickering in the glass of the microwave door like a shadow trying to break free. Are you going to tell me what that was?
I asked.
Her shoulders rose, then fell. Her name is Velistra. She's part of the Triad. The ones who oversee order down there. Order. In hell. There are rules. Even for us. And you broke them by staying? I broke them by wanting. She turned to me then, and I saw it, real fear. Not for herself.
For me.
They don't understand attachment. They see love as a liability. Something that makes us weak.
Distracted.
Vulnerable. You're not any of those things. I am with you. She crossed the room in 2 strides and took my hands. I'm strong enough to bring empires to their knees. But when you look at me like that, like I'm worth loving, I feel like a candle flickering in the wind. Is that bad? It's dangerous. So what now? Do they keep sending people after you? After us? Maybe. Or maybe that was their warning. Their way of reminding me that even love comes at a price. I pulled my hands from hers, only to cup her face. Then we pay it. Together. Her eyes closed. You don't understand what that means. Then explain it. She hesitated, then opened her palm, and a flicker of flame danced there, pure and gold and hot enough to burn the air. If they come again, they won't talk. They'll try to drag me back. And if I resist, it won't be quiet. You'll fight them? I'll tear them apart if they touch you. My breath caught. You'd go to war for me? No, she said, voice low. I'd go to war for us. And then she kissed me, rougher this time, not out of hunger, but out of desperation. Her hands shook against my back. Her tail wrapped tight around my ankle, like she was afraid I'd disappear. I kissed her back just as fiercely, because I understood now. This wasn't just romance. It was survival. A claim staked in fire and fear and fragile hope. When we pulled apart, we were both breathless. You should leave, she whispered.
Run.
Be safe. I'll distract them. You think I could just go on with my life like you didn't rearrange the shape of my soul? I think you're too good to be pulled into this. I said, lifting her chin, you don't get to decide that for me. We stared at each other, neither of us blinking. I'm staying, I said, no matter what. Then I have to make a choice. Her voice trembled. About what kind of being I want to be. Because if I stay with you, truly stay, I'll start losing the parts of me they fear most. And is that a bad thing? It's irreversible. So is love. The word hung there, heavy.
Real. I hadn't meant to say it. Not like that.
Not yet. But I didn't take it back. I let it breathe between us. Neretsa stepped closer, her eyes wide, mouth parted like she couldn't believe what she'd heard. Say it again, she whispered. Please. I love you. Her knees buckled. She sank to the floor, pulling me with her, wrapping me in her arms like she was trying to memorize my shape through touch alone. I didn't think I'd ever hear that, she said, her voice cracking. Not like this. Not from someone who could undo me with 3 words. Is that what I've done? I whispered. Undone you. Completely. I kissed her. Softly this time. Slowly. With every ounce of emotion I hadn't been brave enough to speak. So what now? I asked against her lips. Now I choose, she said. And I choose you. The lights in the room flickered. A low rumble shook the walls. And somewhere far below the surface of reality, I felt it, something shifting. Something waking. Neretsa held me tighter. They know. Then let them come, I said. Let them see what happens when someone touches what's mine. Her smile was feral, beautiful, and for the first time, I wasn't afraid, because we weren't just lovers. We were something more. Something stronger. We were a flame they couldn't put out. The world cracked open at 3:17 a.m. It didn't make a sound. Not at first. No dramatic thunder. No glowing portal or flash of light. Just stillness. That eerie, suffocating quiet that always comes before the scream. I was asleep in her arms when it happened. Our bodies tangled in sheets, her heartbeat strong and steady against my back, her tail curled loosely around my ankle like a promise. And then she stiffened. Sat up. "They're here," she whispered. I bolted upright. "How many?" "Too many." The lights flickered. The air grew thick, humming with energy that didn't belong to this plane. Neretsa stood, and for a moment, she wasn't the soft, teasing woman who flirted over coffee and painted my nails in bed. She was divine, dressed in fire. Her skin glowed, her eyes burned, and her presence filled the room like a rising tide. "Get behind me," she said. "No, please, no. If we go down together."
She didn't argue.
Just nodded once and reached for me. Our fingers laced. "Whatever happens, remember that I chose you. Not because I had to. Not because you summoned me. But because loving you was the only truth I've ever known." The wall opposite us split down the center. Black fire licked its edges. And through it stepped Velistra, flanked by two towering figures made of ash and smoke and eyes that glowed with infernal judgment. "You were warned," Velistra said. Her voice echoed, layered and inhuman. "You defied the order." "I made my own," Neretsa replied, voice like steel wrapped in silk. "You were a ruler, a force. And you threw it all away for a girl who cries when her coffee burns." "She cries," Neretsa said, "because she feels, because she cares. And that makes her more powerful than any of you. You disappoint us."
"Good."
Velistra raised a hand. The ash beings stepped forward. I could feel the air shift, static, dangerous. Neretsa let go of my hand. "Stay behind me. We just talked about this."
"Please."
Her voice cracked. "Just this once. Let me protect what I love." I nodded, teeth clenched, and stepped back. The ash beings lunged, and Neretsa exploded into flame. She met them head-on, hands glowing gold, a roar ripping from her throat that made the walls tremble. The apartment couldn't contain it. Reality bent.
Warped.
Books flew. Glass shattered. I ducked behind the couch, heart in my throat, watching the love of my life battle creatures that didn't belong to this world. But even I could see it, she was losing. For every blow she landed, they returned it tenfold. She bled light. Her body trembled. Her power flickered. And Velistra just watched,
smiling,
waiting. "You're weakening," she said. "Love always does that." "No," I whispered. Then louder. "No, it doesn't." I stood, walked forward, past the couch, past the ruin. "It strengthens." Velistra turned to me. "Little mortal, stay out of this." "No." I stepped beside Neretsa, who was on her knees now, breathing hard. I knelt with her. "You said I summoned you because I wished for love. But you don't understand what that means. Love isn't soft. It isn't weak. It's the thing that makes people choose over and over again.
To stay.
To fight. To burn if they have to." I took Neretsa's face in my hands. She was glowing dimly, her skin hot under my fingers. "Do you still choose me?" I whispered. "Always." "Then let's burn together." I kissed her. And the moment our lips met, something broke open. Not in the room. In the world. The flame that burst from us wasn't destructive. It was pure. Golden. It pulsed outward in a shockwave of light, tearing through the ash beings like wind through dust. Velistra shrieked, shielded her face,
took a step back.
"What are you, soul bond?" Neretsa gasped, eyes wide. She invoked a soul bond. She bound us. "That's impossible," Velistra spat. "She's mortal. She's mine." The light engulfed everything. I didn't feel pain. Only heat. Warmth. Love so deep it rewrote the atoms in the air. When the light faded, The room was whole again.
Clean.
Quiet. The ash beings gone. The wall repaired. Velistra on her knees, trembling. You bound her to this realm, she whispered. She can't return now. Her soul is fused with yours. She's mortal. Then she'll grow old, I said. With me. You gave up your throne, Velistra said, staring at Neretza. Your immortality. Your domain. No, Neretza said, turning to me. I claimed mine. Velistra vanished. No fire. No smoke. Just gone. And suddenly, it was quiet again. Just us. Neretza sank to the floor, pulling me into her lap. You bonded us, she whispered. That wasn't just a kiss. That was a vow. I meant every part of it. Her eyes filled. I love you. You better. I kissed her.
Slow.
Final.
Complete.
Days passed. Then weeks. The glow in her skin softened, but never vanished. She stayed. She cooked. She painted. She danced in the kitchen. She made love to me like I was the axis of her universe. And one day, on a morning just like the first one we ever shared, she handed me coffee. The foam said, "Wife." You're relentless, I muttered. You're mine, she replied. And I smiled. Because I was. Thank you so much for your support, whether it's by liking, commenting, sharing, or sending your super thanks. You make all the difference here on the channel. See you in the next video.